cars. One was ours, one was rented. And on the way back from Tveria, we also went Kvish HaBikar. As we were going Kvish HaBikar, we came to Kvish HaBikar is very hilly. So at a few places you go up hills and down hills. I guess we think right near Ben Shan or between over there and going further. And what happened was somebody was in front of me. And he kept speeding up and we kept speeding up. And he kept going very slow as we were going. It would seem that he deliberately wanted to sabotage us and stop us from going. And I was looking, it seemed to me also that he had a Palestinian license plate. So we were starting to get scared. And then as we went a little bit further, this fellow started going very slow, and he was moving this way and that way, and it was very clear that he was trying to block me from going on the highway, and I got very scared. And then I just said, I'm passing him up, and I passed him up. And a few minutes later, he passed me up. And then not only did he pass me up, but he took his car, and he stopped it sideways on the highway, and he got out of the car. And this was an Arab, a Palestinian, and I didn't know what I was about to expect. And he comes over to me, and okay, let's stop here, and we'll go on to the next story. Okay, just because this has something to do with having respect for you, your children having respect for you. Can you figure out the connection? I'll leave that for you to think a little bit. And this story really has to do with respect. Respect, that's the title of this shir, respect. So the chutzpah that we're seeing today is not to be believed. What we see in children, the chutzpah, the Mishnah says, B'ikasa de Meshicha, chutzpah yaske, the Gemara in Seita. The chutzpah we're seeing is lo yuman ki yisupar. Ima, Shlomi, you have to go to bed. These are actual stories that I'm sharing with you. Shlomi, you have to go to bed. Ima, ani soneh otach b'dam. You know what that means in English? Ima, I hate you with my blood. Now, I didn't know that blood could hate somebody. I thought it's usually your heart, but he hates you with his blood. In English it would be say, I hate your guts. That's what we would say. Ima, I hate your guts. Shlomi, put your pajamas on. Ima, beseder, aval ani soneh otach b'dam. I hate your guts. Then, and it went on and on. Shlomi, are you in bed now? You say Kriya Shema, Beseder Ima, but I hate your guts. And Nisaneh Ota B'dam. Let's stop there for a minute. I'll go on to the next story. You want to hear this just from a recent workshop? These stories we get all the time. They're common practice. So, I tried to have it transcribed so you could hear exactly what it says. My daughter hit me 3 times. After 3 times, I took and put her in a room. She kept coming outside, and I said, you don't hit a mommy. You just don't hit a mommy. And then she starts calling me weirdo. So her mother didn't know what to do. So she said, I thank you very much for calling you a weirdo. Mommy loves it when you call me a weirdo, because it means you love me. That's so weird. Like, it's very not... These are crazy situations. I'll take one more. Just we'll go 2 more, but we get them all the time. And I'll tell you what, as women, mothers in a workshop recently, yeah. My 4.5-year-old woke up in the morning, wanted a yogurt with adashim. You know what adashim is? These M&Ms. And we didn't have any in the house. I said, we don't have any. He started throwing a fit. He doesn't want to eat anything. He's not going to cheder. He's not getting dressed. He's the oldest. I said, we have granola bars. So he said, this is actual tamlil, the transcript of a week ago, a workshop from a week ago. I said, I'm going to crush the bar all over the house and we'll have ants everywhere. So the mother said, I love ants. So he said, I'm going to make ants all over and you're going to have to call that guy to come and get rid of them. I mean, the exterminator. I'm going to put them into the bed and the ants will come into your mouth while you sleep. You understand? Oh gosh, I'm so excited, his mother said. Excited to have ants in her mouth as she's sleeping. So, what's going on? One mother told us that her 7-year-old came over to her that, Mommy, what's for supper? This is for supper. Mommy, you know I don't like that supper. You don't make the suppers that I like. You don't deserve to be called a mommy. Okay, Sarah, what's doing? Sarah has everything going on. So if you're going, oh my gosh, don't go, oh my gosh. This is all over the place. The 2.5-year-old, his father pulled his hair. And he got upset at the father, so he started calling his father by his first name. 2.5-year-old. Yankel, Manishma. Yankel, how are you feeling today? Yankel, what's going on? The father was... How do we deal with these children davening that their parents should live and be with? A 5.5-year-old went over to you know what I mean? A 5.5-year-old went over to her mother and she said, Mommy, I want to poke your eyes out and chop your head off. So the mother says, but if I do that, then I'll go to Gan Eden. So Mommy, so Gan Eden, what's the problem? So the mother says, but I still want to do mitzvahs. Mommy, you did enough mitzvahs. You can go to Gan Eden already. And he said, what are we dealing with here? Hashem Yirachem. Now, you may be laughing, it's cute when you're not the parent. One mother told us in a workshop, I feel like I'm being stabbed with daggers. I'm mamish being like, and I should sit there and I should smile and I should, what do you want from me? How am I supposed to deal with this chutzpah? It's not to be believed. Not to be believed. Now what does this have to do with the Arab? And what does this have to do? I'll tell you something even more puzzling. So the first problem here is, how are we supposed to deal with this chutzpah? It's the worst it ever has been since the inception of the Jewish people. Not only that, I asked in a workshop this past week, I asked mothers, I started telling them interesting things. Kids hit their parents and said, how many of you, your children punish you? The children threaten to punish you. And I think everybody raised their hands and they all started talking. I'm going to give you a punishment. I'm sorry to say, but a mother told us her 8-year-old girl is about to go to school, and the 8-year-old girl comes to someone and says, Mommy, before she leaves the house, Mommy, when I come home, I want the lunch on the table, I want the living room clean, and I want the air conditioner on. I hope you get my instructions clear. This is an 8-year-old talking to her mother. Now, how are we supposed to, how are we supposed to find our way through, navigate our way through? It seems impossible. I'm going to read you something which makes everything even more puzzling and more problematic. It's from Rav Steinman. This is a book which is called Me'achorei HaPargoid. Everything I'm telling you is documented. It's black on white. You don't have to see. Some people tell me, one person recently sent an email to someone about Brezak, says against the Torah. We'll soon see if what I'm saying is against the Torah or it's what the Torah is saying. So, Rav Steinman, Rogil Loimar, this has been documented. He said it at the Torah Messiah convention. He said it to me when I came to him personally 9 years ago. It's written, and we'll show you in other places where it's there, but he's Rogil Loimar. He says it often. There's a new book, Savim Aronon, that came out from Rabbi Yechiel Sever, who quotes Rav Steinman, who says this a lot. What is he saying? Ein davar kazeh hanikra chutzpah shel yiladim. No such thing. And that's not to be believed. No such thing. Yeled eino chatzuf. There's no chutzpah. Rav Steinman, can you come to my house? Would you like to have ants in your bed, Rav Steinman? Would you? Can I let my children call you a weirdo, Rav Steinman? Would you like your children to daven, you should live and be well? Excuse me, Rav Steinman, what in the world is he talking about? Ein davar kazeh hanikra chutzpah shel yiladim. How are we to understand this? Okay, now I like asking advice sometimes. Once in a blue moon, I'll ask advice from children. You know, once we had a 7-year-old that the mother couldn't get him into his house no matter what. And nothing would work. They lived in Yerushalayim, and the boy was in our school. So I called him aside, a 7-year-old boy, said, Shlomi, tell me how to get you in the house. You tell me. He says, you have to call me, and I'm not going to listen. You have to call me again, and I'm not going to listen the second time either. So you have to punish me. But punishments don't work with me. This is the punishment that works with me, and I'm telling you, it works good with me. So this is what you should use. We followed his instructions. It was fantastic. It worked really, really well. So as I was coming here for the setting out on my journey, one of the boys whose sister is babysitting here came up, Harav, ata holech liyedidim? Yeah, Ken? I said, yeah. He says, Harav Doresh Shama? You're going to speak there? I go, yeah. I said, you know what? Moshe Yankel, I'm not saying his name, he's a bar mitzvah boy. Moshe Yankel, tell me, I have to talk to the parents. What should I tell them? What should we do if a child's chutzpahdik? So he starts laughing, he's a bar mitzvah boy. If a child's chutzpahdik, stira! You give him a stira. What do you mean? I said, what if you're the child that's chutzpahdik? Should we give you a stira too? So he's thinking, it's not so simple. So then he says, well, I don't know, if it's a Rebbe, is it a parent, who is it? He says, I said, let's say a Rebbe. Rabbi, you should throw me out of cheder for 2 weeks. Misalekoti me'acheder. That really scares me, he says. That's something you should do. And I said, should we do that? Should we do this? I was questioning him. Then I came up with a theory, and that theory seemed to have, he really liked that. So, and then he told me what he thinks about what I was going to say. What is the way? How do we get our children to respect us? In this door, when everything's so contrary, one mother said, I wrote it down, everything she says, the child says the opposite. This is, I think, a 7-year-old boy. He says, this is beautiful, it's hot today, no, it's cold today. This is like this, no, it's not, it's like this. You're this, you're that, everything she says. I said to the mother, she should say to him, you're right. What's he going to say then? No, I'm not right. But I'll call upon him. It's Meshuggah. Let me read you something from Rabbi Elyashiv. It's a beautiful, beautiful book here. It would be kedai to have it in your house. It's out of print, but they're coming out now with a new Madura, a new edition. It's called Latet Imun Lechanech Bi'ahava. He quotes from 100 Gedolei Yisrael, things about Chinuch. And we'll quote from Rabbi Elyashiv, and then we'll show you that it's something which the Chavis HaTalmidim has written before. We're all trying to get down to get you a practical approach, but something that you can know is Torah-based. So there's such confusion today. People think that if we tell you to mechanech with love, or we tell you to be mechanech in a different type of a way, a more positive way, people will tell you this is against the Torah, or they'll tell you that, what are you saying? You're saying to sit back, let a kid do whatever he wants, and you just say, I love you. This is a Maaseh Shahaya, and I'll tell it to you anyway, even if some of you might not like it or agree with it, please forgive me in advance. Yes, but I told this to Rav Steinman, and it made some people, Rav Steinman agreed with me enthusiastically. I said it over afterwards, and it made some people very upset. It was hard for them to handle. But a boy came towards his mother, he got very angry. It was a 3-day yontif in Chutz La'aretz. And the boy, it was Shabbos and 2 days yontif. In America they have 2 days, 3 days altogether. Motzei Shabbos, his mother's cleaning up from yontif, and it's a real, real hard job. She finally gets everything clean, and Sunday morning, her 10-and-a-half-year-old difficult child, I don't know how many letters he has in his name, A-D, and H-D's, P-D-D, and O-D-D, and N-D-D, all of the D-Ds in them. But I'll call upon him. So he's sitting down, he decided to do some planting. He loves planting, so he takes out the flower pots, and he's pouring dirt on the floor, on the flower pots, and he's making a mess. And this mother is eating her heart out. What's he doing to her clean kitchen? So she absolutely had no patience for him. And she says, excuse me, Yankel, we're going to cheder now. Let's go. And she takes his stuff and she starts sort of pushing him away. Now, you don't do that to an ODD, ADD, PDD, LDD, all the DDDs. You don't do that to such a child. Or maybe you do, but you know what you're going to get. And he came back with a metal bar. He's ready to hit her. Maaseh Shahaya, the mother got up in front of about 90 women in a workshop I gave. She told the story over. And he came back with a metal bar, and what did she say to him? She said to him, she looked at him and she said, I see you want to poke my eyes out. But even if you poke my eyes out, I'm still going to have a heart, and my heart is still going to love you. That's what she said. And the boy dropped the crowbar, and he ran out of the house. And he came back a few minutes later. He says, Mommy, I'm sorry. That's what he said. Now, those of you who will hear this, I told this over to Rav Steinman, something similar, and I'll soon share it with you. I want to read you what Rabbi Elyashiv says. But we can deal with chutzpah today. Of course we can. We can stomp it out. We can blot it out. We can overpower it. And in our house, there's no such thing as chutzpah. I will not tolerate chutzpah. I don't care what. You have a big mouth. Don't you dare open your mouth to me. Don't you dare show. And we'll teach them from a young age, and we'll react very strongly, and we'll make our children afraid. And that's not how you're going to get respect. Not how you do it today. The way you do it is not that way. You'll get fear. You're not going to get respect. And I stood in back of Rabbi Yankiv Kamenetsky about 35 years ago when he came to Eretz for a visit, and somebody asked him, it says in the Gemara you're not supposed to make Ema Yisera in your house, too much fear. Maybe a little bit of fear is a good thing. And Rabbi Yankiv said, no fear, respect. get respect, act in a way that will bring them to respect you. That was about 35 years ago. So understand, there are people that hear something like this. I'll soon put the things together to explain to you where we're going and how we're going and what does it mean. Is there chutzpah? Is there not chutzpah? How do you deal with it practically? But there are people that will hear this, that's the Shita. I've heard about this. There was a recent back and forth in Mishpacha magazine, and there was, it's not a hefkervelt, Rabbi Brezak. I'm sorry. You let kids do whatever they want, and you give them a hug and a kiss and say, I love you, bow down to them, please step on me. Did you step on me 5 times harder? You have to step on me because I'm your slave, I'm your shifcha. I do everything you want. I can't say a word. I'm afraid because maybe you go off the derech. Mommy, you're going to go off the derech. A mother told me she's terrified her 3-year-old is going off the derech. Yeah, it's scary. It's a very scary day we live in. A boy came over to his mother, 9-year-old. Baruch Hashem, we had prepared the mother. Mommy, I'm going off the derech. Took off his kippah and he put it in her hand. I'm going off the derech. Shalom. The mother should have said, Nisiyat Tova. Have a derech tzleicha, what she should say. I'm not saying there are cases where a child is angry, you'll put it on. But, so, there are those that will tell you that what we're teaching you is to just say, I love you, close your eyes, and hope for the best. Heaven forbid. That's not what we're saying. What we are saying is, there are many, many different ways to deal with children. One way is the way of force. One way is the way of fear. And today, that will not bring you the respect you're looking for. Before I read you Rabbi Yashav, I'll read you from this book, and this is the book everyone should really have in their house. It's called Lechanech B'Simcha from Rabbi Zilberstein. And on the first page of the book, it's written by his Talmud in his name, and the first page of the book is an introduction by Rabbi Zilberstein himself. So these are his words that you're hearing, and he says, he quotes Rav Steinman, and also he said many times, Kama v'kama pa'amim, he's heard this from Rav Steinman, and these are words you have to hear. Kayom, today. Efshar, it is impossible. He doesn't say it's not a good idea, and he doesn't say it's preferable. He says it's impossible. Efshar lechanech es adar hatzair biyad kasha. You can't mechanech today's generation with a harsh hand. Lo bikfiyah u'be'ilutzim, not with force, constraint, bivadai u'bivadai, and certainly lo, bimakot u'bahamasha, not with hitting and punishments, force and fear. It's impossible. Impossible means it doesn't work. That's not what gets you respect today. What will it get you? Fear. But fear is tricky. You know why? He brings later on page, the same book, Reb Zilberstein, and he says something which Shul Kamenetsky told me myself. I heard this myself, and I want you to know something. I'll read this to you, but there was a debate in about 2017, 14 years ago. I was asked to come to the Aguda convention in the States, and I was asked to be the rabbinic authority on a round table discussion. Round table means you have 3 people, 4 people, each one somebody who has an idea, and they're trying to get their idea off the ground, and they think, and what is the rabbinic authority? Think about it, I speak at the end, and that was it. What was the theory that someone was trying to introduce at that time? What's missing today is instilling fear into children. That's what's missing, because look at the chutzpah we have, and the reason there's such chutzpah is because there's a lack of fear. You don't instill fear. You have to instill fear into your children. Now, it became a very heated debate between myself and that person. I prepared myself before I went there. I went to Reb Volba, I went to Rabbi Chil Yaakov's son, I went to my Rosh Yeshiva, Reb Adis, I went to my cousin, Reb Tzvi Odessa, who was very close to Reb Steinman. I did my homework very well, and I came to that place very well prepared. What Reb Volba said, what Reb Adis said, what the Gedolim were saying, and everything. And he got up after me and says, I'm going to give my list of Gedolim. And then it was a back and forth, and they come up, and Reb Matisyahu Salman's wife was there, and Reb Tzim Frankel, these are personality, Allah Hashem, and other Choshva Rebbetzins, and it was a big debate back and forth. But I went over to Reb Shmuel Kamenetsky after that debate, and I asked him something. I said, Rosh Yeshiva, this is what the fellow is saying. He didn't even know. And he said, Rahman al-Itzlan. I believe those were his words. I hope I remember clearly, but he said, but what's going to happen is, when a child is young, and you go with fear, so he says, So you're stronger than me. So just wait, I'm going to bide my time till I become strong, and then I'll be stronger than you. And then we'll see what happens. That's what he says. Reb Zilberstein says the exact same thing. He says the following. He says, if you overpower a child, not only with hitting, afilu rak haramat kol. So what does a child say? Elamai, I'm skipping a few lines. Elamai, ata ha'aba yoter chazak mimeni? What, you're stronger than me? L'cha yesh koach lehakot bi? You can hit me, v'li adayin ein, and I don't have koach yet? Okay, azai ani amtin. I'll wait. Lehizdamnut neuta, shegam li yeh koach. V'az yitapech hagalgal. Then everything will turn around. You know, they have bumper stickers, even in Israel. I saw it last week. It says, I believe it was last week, it says, treat your children nicely, they're going to decide which nursing home to put you in. So be very careful. So understand, if you go with force, and you can go with fear, you'll get exactly that, and fear is a scary thing. That we should instill fear in our children brings the opposite of the results you're looking for. So what are we telling you? We'll tell you the following. Let's go back. Why am I telling you the story of the Arab? What happened to me on Highway 28, on Highway 90? What happened to me was this Arab deliberately stopped in front of me, and he came over looking like he wanted to shecht me. Baruch Hashem, my son was in the car. I was wearing a white shirt. I had my yarmulke on, my payas, a beard, and the Arab fellow was looking at me, and suddenly he realized I'm like sort of a rabbi, maybe, or whatever, and he said, Lama asita orot kvohim, lama zeh? Apparently, when you go on the hills, and the person's in front of you, it looks like you're putting your brights on. When you go up and down, so he thought I was deliberately trying to sabotage him. And he thought, I said, what are you talking about? I didn't even know. So he understood, so he calmed down right away, and Baruch Hashem, he said, okay, and he went to his car, and that was the end of that. Terrifying. When you're fighting with someone, it's scary. When you're not fighting, it's a different story. You can work together, a totally different story. With your children, heaven forbid you should fight with them to stop the chutzpah in your home. Please don't, because even if you win, you lost. If you overpower your child and you lost, what can I tell you? A story comes to mind, forgive me, I breathe this day in, day out. We have enough workshops a week. Anybody that comes to our workshops knows this is what we talk about. And this is what we're hearing, and this is what we're dealing with. And Hashem Yazor. A mother told me, my daughter went to a workshop, and she heard in her workshop the following. 11-year-old boy hit his mother. He was upset about something, he hit his mother. Today it's common practice. In Israel, by the way, there's an abuse line for abused teachers. Teachers that get hit by students. Yes. So there's no abuse line for abused parents, although I've heard parents call themselves abused. The child hit his mother, so the mother wanted to get him back. So the mother says to him, Makeh aviv imo mot yumat. You know what that means? Somebody who hits a parent, it says in the Chumash, he will die. Mot yumat. What does a child do in such a situation? Listen to this. Your mother just said, Makeh aviv imo mot yumat. What do? The child, Mommy, Rashi says it's only if you take out blood. But not if you just hit like that. So the mother was so appalled at the chutzpah, smacked him across the face. What chutzpah? What chutzpah? Now let me go back. There is tons of chutzpah today. Tons of chutzpah. I'm coming and telling you, kiss your child, say I love you, leave him alone. Even if he comes at you with a crowbar, I love your crowbar. I love you. You want to put ants on my bed? I love ants. I eat ants. What bracha do you make on ants? Let's find some kosher ants, chocolate ants. I don't know what to say. But this is what we're telling you? This is what we're telling you. We're tying your hands. There's no chutzpah. Rabbi Steinman says there's no chutzpah. Rabbi Brezak, there's also no parents. Because you're tying my hands, you tell me stop being a mother, stop being a father, we're not going to deal with this, I've had enough, and goodbye, I'm sorry I came to this Yedidim weekend, maybe I'll hear some better speeches afterwards. So that's not what we're telling you. Let's understand exactly what we're saying. We're trying to understand what we're dealing with in this generation. A child comes over and says, Mommy, ani soneh otach b'dam. I hate your guts. How can we say this is not chutzpah? Rav Steinman is saying it's not chutzpah. There's no such thing as chutzpah, Rav Steinman. So let me tell you the story further. Let's go further in the story, yes? I stopped in the middle. Ani soneh otach b'dam. Ima, I hate your guts. Ima, I hate your guts. Okay, but put your pajamas on. Ima, I hate your guts. Okay, but brush your teeth. Ima, I hate your guts. Now the child's in bed. He said Kriya Shema, and he said, Ima, achshav ani ohev otach. Could you lie down next to me and tell me a story? What does it mean? Now I love you. Could you lie down next to me? He just said, I hate your guts. So what happened? All of a sudden he got a change of heart? He was chayzer b'tshuva? No. He never meant it in the first place. That's what it means. When you see chutzpah in children, you have to know what you see is not what you get. I'll say it in different terms. The what is not the why. They're doing chutzpah, but they're not doing chutzpah because they're chutzpahdik. They're not doing chutzpah because they want to hurt you. Even if they say they want to hurt you. I'll tell you something even stronger. Our mother told us, our 12-year-old said to her, Mommy, you're S-T-U-P-I-D. You know that word. It's an English word. S-T-U-P-I-D. And the mother said, that's very hurtful. And the daughter said, well, why do you think I said it for? Of course it's hurtful. I want to hurt you right now, obviously. So what does it mean? Listen to this. Einav tuluyot limtzochein. A child wants to find favor. That's really what he wants. And he says it afterwards again. Even in the house, where he's talking about school, Hayeled rotzeh tikvato ushifotav, his hopes and his desires are limtzochein be'enei abba ve'ima. He wants to find chen by you. The girl who's davening her mother should live and be well in the middle of the street, screaming, Hashem, please make my mother live. She didn't say live and be well. She said some other things, which are the opposite of living and being well. I told the mother she wants a connection to you. I told this to the mother about 5 years ago. And Baruch Hashem, the mother, believe me, today they're best friends. You have to know where the chutzpah is coming from. That's what you have to know. And if you know it's not coming from a place that they're against you, it's coming from a place of defensiveness. It's coming from a place that they're hurt. But they don't mean a thing they are saying. You have to translate it into English. Don't take children's language. Children say, I hate you, and it means I want a connection to you. That's what Rav Steinman is telling us, is don't take it at face value. He's a bad child. She has a big mouth. All my other kids would say that she ruins everything in my home. If not for him, everything would be halak, and everybody in his language. It's the same thing. Please understand where it's coming from. Kids are desperate for your approval. Kids, a child's hope. This is Rav Steinman talking, not me. A child's hope and desire is that you be mekarev him, that you approve of him. Limtzochein. He wants to find favor in your eyes. Jonathan Pollard wants to get favor in the eyes of whoever. To understand, we're all looking for favor in the parents' eyes. That's the chutzpah you see. It could be the weirdo. Mommy, you're a weirdo. That weirdo language means she wants a connection to her mother. She'll do it in a negative way. We had a crazy case once where a pizza boy was defecating in his pants. And we went to a psychologist, and the psychologist says he wants a connection to his mother. So the mother doesn't have time for him. The mother is very busy, a community person. She didn't have time for him. So he started making his pants, hoping maybe she'll come and clean him. Understand, kids will do crazy things. Chutzpah is not chutzpah. That's the first thing we have to know. So if we're going to go and try to force it, and try to push our authority, and we'll say, I'm the parent. Our mother came to me. I told her, she said, her 16-year-old, they have a good connection, but the chutzpah is intolerable. And she sang, and I said, I tried questioning her and back and forth, till we understood what's going on. I think I called the boy in, and then I called the mother back in, and I said, you're criticizing him all day long. What do I say? I said, well, you tell me. Did you say anything to him today? Well, he was eating rugelach. Okay, so he's eating rugelach, so what? So what did you say? So I said, there are other people in the house. You don't have to eat all the rugelach. There are other people in this house also besides you. I didn't really say anything. What's the big deal? I just told him off. So, what am I supposed to be? I said, I gave her, stop telling him off. She called back on the phone a few days later. She said, Rabbi Brezak, you're telling me to stop being a mother. That's what she said. Being a mother means pushing your authority. Being a mother means I could stand up and say, don't you dare open your mouth to me. A child says to me, you're hearing all these stories and you say, I'm not one of Rabbi Brezak. I'm not one of these wishy-washy parents who will let their kids step all over me. I know who I am. I'm confident. I'm not afraid. And I will tell them like it is. They're not going to step all over me. I understand how you feel. But understand that this is not... The parents that are doing that don't understand where the child is coming from. So this mother had told me, I told her to stop being a mother, showed up at one of our workshops about 3 years ago, by surprise. And she introduced herself. I didn't know who she was. Rabbi Brezak, remember me? What's the name? She told me the name. Oh, yes, I do remember. And I was waiting with bated breath, because I know she didn't accept anything I said. And then she says to me, my son, he's today 25, I guess today must be 28. He gives a shir in Daf Yomi, and he learns in the kollel. And you know what the Rebbes in the kollel tell me about him? Ashrei Yoladito. Fortunate is the one who gave birth to him. I was very surprised to hear that. And I said to her, I said, I thought you didn't listen to what I said. She said, I listened to everything you said. A father told me, his 11-year-old decided, 11 or 12-year-old decided he's going to start fighting his father, really head on. Now he's going to go. So he stood in the doorway. He says to his father, you are not passing by. You hear that? It's pretty good. You are not passing by. Let's see, over my, a certain body, like whatever there's a cemetery person. You understand what I'm talking about. The kids are, so what did the boy say? What did the father do? He did what I told him. Told him, give him a kiss, give him a hug, say I love you. Love you. Love you. And the boy moved away. And then I met the father about a year ago. I think it was by wedding. Today my son is old. I think he's married, he told me. And he says, if Mamish worked like a charm, he has such respect you wouldn't believe. So you have to understand something. Children are not against us. They really aren't. They're desperate for our approval. They're desperate to find favor in our eyes. If we go against them, and we fight them in order to get respect, we get fear and we get richuk, distance. They move away. There's a line in the Chavis HaTalmidim, I can't read you, there are many sources I wanted to read you. I'll tell it to you by Baal Peh, very quickly, by heart. You could know that what we're saying is what but I read you from the Chanech B'Simcha. I think that's enough. Rabbi Yashiv says, there's a Chavis HaTalmidim, a classic work about 85 years ago, says the following. He says that chutzpah, the fact that the spirit of independence is so great in children, it brings that anybody who's going to come to tell them what to do is their enemy, because you're restricting them. Because they want to be independent and nobody wants to be told what to do. That's the attitude we have today. Attitude there is. Chutzpah there isn't. Attitude is I want to do what I want to do and they'll tell me what to do. That's attitude. And now you're coming at me and I'm going to come and tell you what to do because I want to machanech you. So you're my arch enemy. You're like an aritz zar, he says, like a foreign tyrant. So this creates what's called a petza ha-hisrachakus, a distance, a wound of distance. And this is what we're coming to heal. So we will agree with all of you. We'll say the following. Just to let me clarify for you. I'm sorry, we're saying a lot of stories, a lot of different things. The first point to realize is, when we're coming to get respect, let's realize what we're dealing with. Let's realize the chutzpah that we're seeing, and let's see it like it is. Really, not like it seems. That's what Reb Steinman is telling us. He's telling us that the chutzpah is not real chutzpah. They want closeness with us. They want to find favor in our eyes. But how are we going to approach it? If we approach it in a way that will force ourselves, and we'll build up our authority, and we'll show you I'm the boss, and that's it. I'm the mommy, that's why, like it says on some door things, if you see those houses, I don't go. I said that on one house, I stayed away. But I'm the mommy, that's why. Okay, you want to push your authority? I said, and you better listen, push your authority, and you're pushing your child with your authority together. You're pushing your authority, and you're pushing your child away, and you make this wound of distance bigger. Because he really wants closeness with you. He just needs help, because he has attitude, unfortunately. He lives in these times. So you do it differently. And I want you to hear what this child said, the teenager that I asked him right before I came, his sister's babysitting here. I asked him, what should I tell the people? What do you think about this idea? I said to him. What if when a child is chutzpahdik, I give you a kiss and I stroke your cheek? What do you think? Ma'im zeh. So he thought a minute, a smart boy. Because that's a pretty good idea. Because then your father shows you, and your parents show you that he loves you, even though you're chutzpahdik. That means when you're coming to push your fear and your authority, and it shows as if your love for the child is conditional. You're not on his side, only if he'll be respectful. That's how children take it nowadays. So, if you push your fear and you push your authority, you're going to be met up, even if you met up with obedience, even if the child acquiesces and goes along, the child will not be close to you. He'll be far away from you, and there are a lot of other repercussions. We're not looking to instill fear into children. We are looking to get respect from our children. That we are looking for. How do we get respect from our children? Again, you could force your child, you could punish him. A mother came over to me that her 13-year-old told her, your mommy, you're a failure. 13-year-old girl. So the mother said, okay, so you can't have your disc man, you can't go out for a week, can't go swimming, Mommy, I'm sorry. You can get an I'm sorry. Is that I'm sorry? It's not I'm sorry. Mommy, I want my disc man back, and I want to go swimming, and I want to go this, I want to that. That's where fear will get you at best. At worst, fear will get you, like we read to you, the child will wait to get back at you, and just wait till they're older. Children know how to get back at their parents. Not only that, even now they know how to get back. Passive aggressive, I have to tell her 6 times till she hears me. She has selective hearing. I don't understand. I tell her again and again, she doesn't hear me at all till I walk over to her, or they don't listen to me till I scream, or all the other languages that we all know fighting with our children. So we're looking for a way in today's day to get us respect and willing compliance. And there is a way. And we're not telling you to overlook. We're not telling you just to allow it, to tolerate it, and it's all okay. We're not saying that. We're looking for a way to get the respect, the real respect, that they'll want to listen to you and want to cooperate. One mother told me she was fighting with her daughter, 7-year-old, and she changed her tactics. A few weeks later, she was cooking in the kitchen on Thursday for Shabbos, and the girl came over to her, Mommy, it's hot. It's hot in the kitchen, Mommy. She went and she brought her a fan in the kitchen to cool her off. Isn't that nice? You don't get that from pushing your authority. But we want the same result. This is what I'd like to clarify. So we said so far 2 things, on a 3rd thing, and this is the practical part that we'll speak about in the time we have remaining, Bez Hashem. What time do we have remaining? Does anybody know what time it's supposed to be over? 3:15. 3:15. Oh. Okay. Sorry. See, I told you, if you're not late on Erev Shabbos, you're not. Okay, something's wrong, yes. So, what are we saying here? 3 things. Number 1 is the tremendous chutzpah that's out there. It's not chutzpah. It looks like chutzpah. That's what Rav Steinman is saying. We know it. Kids really want to be close to you. Number two is, if you're going to go with fear, and you're going to push yourself, and push your authority, you're pushing the child away with the authority. That's all you're doing, and you're going to get the opposite of what you're looking for. Number 3, the way to do it is to show the child you're on his side. And we're looking not to overlook, heaven forbid, anybody here that walks away from here and thinks that we're saying that when a child is chutzpahdik, you bow down and tell you, step on me, is not hearing what we're saying, because we're not saying that. We're saying that you get respect from them, and when they respect you, they come over with a fan. Mommy, it's too cold. Wouldn't that be wonderful? You come home from the Yidden weekend. Mommy, can I bring you your slippers? Mommy, can I bring you a drink? Abba, did you enjoy the weekend? We took care of the children. Everything's fine. Sit down and relax. You need Mashiach for that, right? It's not going to happen before Mashiach comes out. No, but it can happen. Mashiach can come earlier in your home. You can bring the Mashiach to your home if you do it the way you're supposed to do it today. So we're not saying to overlook it. We're saying to deal with it, but to deal with it in a way that will bring you these results. And that is the klal. And again, I have to stop already. I I see that I'm getting looked at from different people. But I'll call upon him. The klal is that we have to show a child we're on his side, and that's unconditional. I'll give you one manifestation. We talk about this in our workshops. I can't put it, and I'll conclude with this. So don't worry. Okay, so Rabbi side. One thing, I'll tell you a story. My Rosh Yeshiva's name is Rabbi Adis. His son is a big Mekubal today, Rabbi Yaakov Adis. The Rosh Yeshiva is Rabbi Yehuda Adis. And his father was also Rabbi Yaakov Adis. He was very close to Rabbi Elyashiv. I think they were Dayanim together. Rabbi Elyashiv used to go and ask his advice. And this is a fascinating story. Rabbi Adis tells it over. When he was 11 years old, he did not say Birchas Hamazon after eating. It was a night meal or something. And his brother, it's a family of Rabbanim, each one of them, so his brother caught him. Ha! You didn't say Birkat Hamazon. So Rabbi Adis didn't know what to do. He grabbed the siddur. I did, and I said it from this siddur. It happened to have been a machzor for Yom Kippur. And he didn't realize. True story. And he said, so his brother caught him and says, ha! I got you. It's a machzor for Yom Kippur, and you didn't say Birkat Hamazon. You're a liar. And he brought him to his father. And here they come in, and the triumphant brother, comes in with the machzor from Yom Kippur. He caught his Adis Jr. red-handed, and Hu Omer, he comes in like this to the father. Hu Omer shu matzah kan birkat hamazon, and he sticks out the machzor of Yom Kippur. He says he found here birkat hamazon in this machzor of Yom Kippur. There is no birkat hamazon. So the senior Rav Adis looks at junior Rav Adis, and he looks at him and he says, Im hu omer shehu matzah, az hu matzah. If he said he found it, then he found it. Now explain to me what kind of chinuch this is, please. The boy lied. He didn't say Birkat Hamazon. And when he was caught red-handed, what does the father do? He lies also. A bunch of liars. I'm sorry to say, is that chinuch? That's chinuch, that he lied. He is chutzpah to lie when he was caught red-handed and he didn't say Birkat Hamazon. Now you're going to mechanech him. What's the chinuch? You also lie. It makes absolutely no sense. Makes a lot of sense. Because you want to get respect from your children. I know about this. I'm a Talmud for about 40 years. The respect he has for his father, I can't even tell you. And the father had respect for him. The father preserved his dignity at all costs. If you have respect for your children, then your children have respect for you. I heard this from Rabbi Adis. He told me that the way to get to Kabed es avicha v'esimecha is to fulfill Kabed es banecha v'espitecha. And another big rabbi told this to me, Rabbi Gamliel Rabinovitz, if you heard of him. He told me the same thing. Now, people hear this, they misconstrue it, and I'll conclude. But this is the way. I'll give you one aspect. There's a lot to talk about, and there's no time to talk about it. But one thing, treat your child with dignity. Never shame him, even if you want to machanech him. Put his dignity first, and the chinuch second. So if you're in the street and the girl's not coming in, don't go screaming in front of all her friends, because you'll embarrass her. If you have guests at your table, don't start correcting your son in front of everybody, or your daughter in front of everybody. Don't tell one child off in front of other children. Preserve their dignity. My mother told me she started doing it with a 13-year-old girl, and the girl wasn't, no improvement. So she comes to the girl and says, you see, I'm talking nice to you, and there's no improvement. And the girl looks at the mother and says, Mommy, why do you give up so fast? You don't give up so fast? What do you mean? It works. Just have patience. But that's the main thing. The main thing, I'll tell you one last story and we'll conclude. I'm sorry. But this story about Rabbi Adis, I told it over in a workshop. And my mother wrote me back an email. She told me, the same day I said over in a workshop, she told me she was in the car doing carpool. And the other kids were in the car, and her daughter, 7 years old, turns to one of the girls, 10 years old, and says, you ate your snack without saying a bracha. The girl says, I said a bracha, I said it low. And the daughter says, no, you didn't, because if you would have said it loud, I would have said amen. So you didn't say it at all. You're lying. And she turns to her mother, Mommy, this girl's eating Hashem's food, and she's stealing Hashem's food. Without a bracha, in front of the whole carpool, all these girls sitting there. So the mother had just heard the story from Rabbi Adis. So the mother said to her daughter, if she said a bracha, she said a bracha. A few hours later, she got a call from this girl, the 10-year-old. Mrs. So-and-so, I want to thank you for not embarrassing me. You don't know how much it means to me, something like that. said, from now on I'm going to be careful with my bracha. Okay, so please, you want your children to have respect, you respect them. One last thing is that respect doesn't mean giving in to your children. Doesn't mean spoiling them. That's not good for them. Do what's good for them, say no when it's good for them, but treat them with dignity. Always preserve their dignity. Be'ezrat Hashem, you'll get back a lot plus. Thank you.